I never thought a shopping trip could change the whole shape of a life. Then again, I never thought I'd be standing in a boutique dressing room with a silk dress in my hands and the woman I love watching me like I'm the experiment she swore would be the funniest story ever. My name is Noah Hale. I'm 29, a copywriter at a small advertising agency, and I tell stories for a living, brand stories, pithy taglines, the kind of lines that make people click. On paper, my life is the comfortable kind. Steady job, a relationship that looks enviable on Instagram, Saturday morning coffees, the occasional art house film. People around me call me reliable. I answer emails on Sundays. I like routines. I like the way words can be ordered until they look like sense. At home, though, Emma runs the chaos. She's magnetic in a way I'm still getting used to, an independent buyer and stylist for a boutique that's quietly been taking off. Her world is fabric swatches, sample sales, and mood boards hung with pins like little conspiracies. Her apartment looks like a magazine spread, plants in the corners, racks of clothes leaning against the wall, the kind of light that makes everything look like it was chosen for a photo. We've been together 3 years. People say she's the center of the relationship, and maybe that's true. She's not domineering. She's just certain, the kind of person who knows what she wants and then plots the route to get it. I admire her ruthlessness. I admire how she can walk into a store, touch a dress, and tell you its story before the cashier has rung the sale. I love her in ways that tangle up my good sense and my better judgment. For the longest time, my fascination with Emma's work was purely practical. She'd ask for my opinion on color palettes, and I'd make something popped and clever sounding so she could make the call. But the more I watched her move through racks, the more I realized I was watching a kind of magic. She transformed things. Not just clothes. People too, in a lighter way. She made them confident, made them see new shapes. So when she said one rainy Tuesday night, "Noah, I need a shopping partner this weekend," I didn't think to be suspicious. She'd been swamped, sample shipments, an influencer pitch, an appearance at a pop-up. She wanted someone she trusted to be blunt and honest, who could help carry bags and judge silhouettes. I said yes without thinking, because that's what you do when your person asks for help. "I don't mean just help," she said, sliding a fabric swatch across the table toward me like it was a dare. "I mean a partner. Someone who'll try things on, test sizes, give me feedback as if you're part of the brand." "You in?" I laughed, soft, half skeptical. "You want me to be a mannequin?" "Not a mannequin," she said, eyes bright. "A collaborator. And you'll wear things you wouldn't normally. Come on. It'll be fun. I'll pay you in coffee and a weekend of bad movies." That should have been the end of the sentence. Instead, Emma added, casual as if offering a cup of tea, "And if you do it, you get to keep one item at the end. Pick whatever you want." Her bargains are persuasive. They always have been. Underneath the negotiating, there's a kindness I trust, an unflinching faith that she can coax people into being braver than they think. I hesitated. The idea of wearing a dress in a public, retail-lit space made my stomach tighten. I'd never cross-dressed before. I'd never intended to. The thought sat in me like an odd, bright rock. Still, I nodded. "Okay, I'll be your shopping partner." On Saturday, the boutique smelled like new tags and citrus cleaner. Emma moved through the racks like she owned the air. She introduced me to stylists as Noah, my copy partner, and today our trial model. People smiled politely, some with curiosity, some with the professional nod of someone used to staging the unusual. I felt like a prop, which is to say I felt self-conscious in all the ways a human can. We started small, scarves, a simple blouse, a jacket with unexpectedly soft shoulders. Emma filmed me from behind a low angle. "For fit reference," she said, and replayed the clips like she was directing a movie. I gave the kind of feedback you give when you're trying on a friend's idea. Honest, non-technical. But with each new fabric, something else tightened and then loosened inside me. The blouse lay against my chest differently than a t-shirt. The scarf softened my jawline. The jacket made my shoulders seem less like an outline and more like posture I could choose. At lunch, as Emma tucked napkins into her handbag, she surprised me with a little black box. "Pick your keep," she said, voice pitched like a secret. Inside was a delicate silver pendant, one of those pieces that looks unremarkable until someone hooks it around your neck, and everything aligns. I expected jewelry. I didn't expect the tiny thrill that shivered through me when she fastened the chain myself and watched how it caught the light at the base of my throat. After the boutique closed, Emma suggested one last stop, a back room where she kept samples that were too special to leave on the floor. She said she needed a few things photographed for a lookbook. Then she turned to me with that smile that always convinces me to be braver than I am. "Try the blue dress," she said, pulling it off a hanger. "Just for the camera." I should have said no. I should have put it back. Instead, I let her hand the dress to me, felt the silk smooth my palms like water. I slipped behind the fitting room curtain because the boutique had grown quiet and the city had folded into evening. The curtain was a thin private world that suddenly felt enormous. When I stepped out, the dress fit like an answer to a question I hadn't known how to ask. The hem fell where it should. The color made my skin seem less tired. Emma's phone hummed and she pointed the camera, but she wasn't filming the dress. She was watching me. Really watching, like she'd been waiting to see if I'd surprise myself. "I made you my shopping partner," she said softly, the words folded with affection and something like triumph. "Because I wanted you there, but also because I thought maybe I could show you a way you didn't know was there." Her words landed in my chest, strange and heavy. I felt exposed and, embarrassingly, seen in a way I hadn't been allowed to be. There was fear. What if I hated it? What if I loved it? What if other people saw me in this and it changed their minds? There was also a small, luminous excitement that felt like permission. Later, when I took the dress off and wrapped it up to return to the rack, Emma tucked that silver pendant into my palm and said, "Keep it for the next time you need a nudge." I walked home under the buzz of streetlights, the pendant cold in my hand. I told myself I'd keep the secret, the ridiculous, startling truth that trying on someone else's clothes had cracked something open, but already the crack felt like it might widen. There was a part of me that was curious to know how far the permission could go. And when I found myself in front of our bathroom mirror that night, turning the pendant over between my fingers and wondering if I could be both the person who writes clever headlines and the person who blends eyeliner so it looks like a shadow, I understood how dangerously a dare disguised as shopping could become a doorway. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Emma humming in the kitchen. For a moment, I thought everything would go back to normal. But as soon as I walked in, Emma flashed me that mischievous grin, the one that always meant she had something planned. "Morning, sleepyhead," she said, setting a mug in front of me. "I was thinking we should do something fun together today." I raised an eyebrow. "Fun? Like what?" She leaned against the counter, crossing her arms playfully. "Shopping." That word made me groan internally. Emma loved shopping the way I loved quiet weekends. It wasn't that I hated malls. It was the endless hours of trying on outfits, her asking for opinions, and me awkwardly mumbling, "You look great in everything." But this time her eyes had a glint. "Actually," she added, "I thought you could be more than just my opinion guy today." I frowned. "Meaning?" She smiled, teasing. "Meaning, I need a shopping partner. Someone who can really understand what I'm looking for." There was something in her tone that made me uneasy. "Emma, what are you suggesting?" She grinned wider. "Oh, don't act scared. You said last week that you wondered what it felt like to wear something I bought, remember?" I froze. "I was joking." "Were you?" she said softly, stepping closer. "Because I've been thinking about it ever since." My throat tightened. But she just placed her finger on my lips. "Sure. You trust me, right?" I sat there, staring at her like she had lost her mind. She wanted me to go shopping as a girl? There was no way I could pull that off. "Emma, people will stare," I stammered. "Only if they know," she replied, brushing her hair back. "And trust me, they won't. I can make you look completely different. Just for fun. One day." The way she said it, playful but firm, sent a shiver through me. I wanted to say no. I wanted to laugh it off. But there was a part of me that was curious. What if she really could pull it off? You're serious, aren't you? As a heart attack, she said, already walking toward her bedroom closet. Come on, let's see what we can do. I followed reluctantly, every nerve buzzing with disbelief. Emma's closet was chaos, racks of dresses, boxes of shoes, drawers full of accessories. She pulled out outfit after outfit, holding each one up to me like an artist testing her palette. How about this? She said, holding up a soft pink blouse and a short denim skirt. It's cute, casual, believable. I shook my head immediately. Emma, no way. That's too much. She pouted.
Fine.
You pick something then. I looked at the racks helplessly. Everything screamed feminine. Lace, florals, color. My jeans and t-shirts suddenly felt like armor. Emma giggled. Relax, babe. I'll take care of it. Before I knew it, she had me seated in front of her vanity mirror. My reflection stared back at me, nervous, pale, with eyes darting like I was about to face an interrogation. Okay, Emma said, cracking her knuckles like a professional stylist. Step 1. Skin prep. She dabbed something cool on my face, massaging it gently. Then came foundation, concealer, contouring, words I had only ever heard from her YouTube tutorials. I couldn't recognize the man in the mirror anymore. Every stroke of her brush erased a little bit of him. When she finally drew eyeliner along my lashes, she whispered, "Look up for me."
I did.
And when she applied mascara, I felt my heartbeat quicken. My reflection blinked back with long, dark lashes. It was strange.
Disorienting.
You're doing great, she said, her voice unusually gentle. When she finished the makeup, she stepped back, studying me critically. Not bad for a beginner. Now, hair. She pulled out a long chestnut brown wig and placed it carefully on my head. It felt alien at first. The soft strands brushed against my neck, tickling my skin. She adjusted it, brushing it until it framed my face perfectly. Then she turned me toward the mirror again. And for a moment, I didn't recognize myself. The face staring back wasn't a man's. The cheekbones looked sharper, the lips softer, the eyes alive with something curious. Oh my God, I whispered. Emma grinned. Told you. You're kinda cute. I laughed nervously. You're insane. Maybe, she said, tilting her head. But admit it, you're curious. I swallowed. Maybe a little. Then came the clothes. Emma handed me the pink blouse and denim skirt again. Try this on, she said with a wink. I hesitated, glancing toward the closed door. What if someone comes in? No one's coming, she said. Now go. I sighed and changed in the bathroom. The moment I pulled on the skirt, I froze. It was snug, tight around my waist, light against my thighs. The fabric clung in ways my clothes never did. When I stepped out, Emma gasped.
See?
I knew it. You've got the legs for this. Don't say that, I muttered, blushing. She walked around me like a fashion critic. Just needs finishing touches. A bit of perfume. A necklace. Some earrings. When I looked in the mirror again, it wasn't me. It was someone else. A stranger. Okay, Emma said softly. Ready to see her? Her. She nodded at my reflection. Meet Emily. Emily? I repeated, the name rolling off my tongue like a secret. For a fleeting second, I smiled. Then my stomach twisted with guilt. What am I doing? I whispered. Emma rested her hands on my shoulders. You're just trying something new. That's all. But I wasn't so sure anymore. By afternoon, Emma had convinced me to go out, just for a little bit. No one will recognize you, she promised. It'll be fun. We went to the mall. I felt my heart race every second. Every footstep echoed like thunder. I couldn't look anyone in the eye. But as time passed, something strange happened. No one stared. No one laughed. A woman smiled at me in the perfume section. A clerk called me miss. For the first time, I wasn't pretending, I was passing. Emma squeezed my hand. You're doing great, Emily. I turned to her, my voice trembling. I can't believe this. I told you, she said softly. You just needed to see yourself differently. We laughed together, walking from store to store, trying on clothes and joking like best friends. But deep down, I couldn't ignore the question rising inside me. Was this still pretend? Or was a part of me actually enjoying it? That night, when we got home, I caught myself staring in the mirror again. The makeup was slightly smudged, the wig tilted, but the woman in the reflection still looked alive. Confident. Beautiful even. Emma entered quietly. "You're still looking at yourself," she teased. I laughed awkwardly. "Just trying to understand how you did this." She smiled knowingly. "Maybe it's not all me." I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. Something about today had changed me. As I slowly wiped the makeup away, I realized I wasn't sure which reflection felt more like the real me anymore. And somewhere deep inside, I wondered if Emma knew exactly what she was doing when she turned me into Emily. That night, sleep didn't come easily. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, the girl from the mirror. Emily. The way she smiled. The way people looked at her. The way I felt when I was her. It was intoxicating and terrifying. When I finally drifted off, I dreamed of walking through the mall again. Only this time, I wasn't pretending. I was laughing, twirling, free. But then I turned a corner and saw Emma, watching me silently, her expression unreadable. When I woke up, my heart was pounding. Emma was already up, sipping coffee, scrolling on her phone. She looked thoughtful. "Morning," I mumbled. She looked up and smiled, but her tone was different this time, softer, almost cautious. "Hey, sleepyhead. You okay?" "Yeah, just weird dreams." She chuckled. "About shopping?" I hesitated. "Maybe." She watched me for a moment before setting her mug down. "You liked it, didn't you?" The question hit me harder than I expected. Liked what? Being her. Emily. I froze. "It was just a bit of fun, Emma." Her smile faded. "You don't have to lie to me." "I'm not." She cut me off gently. "I saw how you looked at yourself in the mirror." Her words hung in the air like a confession I hadn't made yet. Emma walked over to me and sat down. "You know, I've been thinking about this for a while." I frowned.
About what?
She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "About us. About how distant things have felt lately." That made me pause. "Distant." She nodded. "You've been stressed, quiet, disconnected. I thought maybe if I did something crazy, something fun, we could reconnect." I blinked, processing her words. "So that's why you dress me up?" She smiled sadly.
Partly.
"But it's more than that." "More." She looked me straight in the eye. "I wanted you to see yourself the way I see you. Kind, sensitive, beautiful inside." But I didn't expect her to come out like that. Her gaze softened. "When you became Emily, it was like watching you breathe again." My throat tightened. "Emma, She shook her head. "No, listen.
I thought it was just a one-time thing.
But now, I can't stop thinking about it."
About you.
About her. The room felt suddenly smaller. My pulse raced. "Emma, this is getting weird," I said quietly. "Is it?" she whispered. "Or is it just that we've both seen something we can't unsee?" The next few days were strange. Emma acted normal, cooking, working, joking, but there was a new kind of tension between us. Every time she mentioned shopping, her eyes sparkled in that same mischievous way. And every time I passed a mirror, I caught myself wondering, what if Emily came back? It didn't take long. That Saturday, Emma came home with several shopping bags and a sly grin. "I got something for you." My stomach twisted. "For me?" She nodded. "For her, actually." Before I could respond, she pulled out a sleek black dress. It shimmered under the light, elegant, sophisticated, dangerous. "Emma, no. I can't." "Yes, you can," she said softly. "Just once more. For me." I hesitated, torn between fear and curiosity. "Why are you doing this?" She smiled faintly. "Because I want to see if Emily is really gone." The words sent a chill through me. Against my better judgment, I agreed. And once again, I found myself in front of that mirror. Emma's hands worked carefully, the brush gliding across my cheeks, the eyeliner sharpening my eyes. With every touch, my reflection blurred between who I was and who I was becoming. When she zipped up the black dress, I felt a jolt of electricity. The fabric hugged my body perfectly, molding me into a version of myself I didn't know existed. Emma placed her hands on my shoulders, whispering, "There she is." I looked up and Emily stared back. Confident.
Poised.
Unapologetically feminine. But behind that confidence was something else, fear. Because this time, it didn't feel like a game. Emma stepped closer, studying my face. "You're beautiful." "Stop," I said softly. She shook her head. "No, really? You are." I turned away, unable to look at her. "I don't know who I am anymore," she whispered. "Maybe that's not a bad thing." Just as the air between us thickened with silence, the doorbell rang. Both of us froze. Emma's eyes widened. "Oh no, that must be Hannah." "Hannah." "My coworker. She was supposed to drop something off." "I forgot." My heart stopped. "Emma, what do I do?" "Stay calm," she hissed, running to the door. But before I could hide, Hannah's voice floated in. "Hey, Emma. Sorry to drop by so late. I just..." Then her words stopped. I turned slowly. Hannah stood in the doorway, staring at me. "Oh," she said after a beat, smiling politely. "I didn't realize you had a friend over." Emma's voice was too quick. "Yeah, this is, Emily." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst. I forced a smile. "Hi." "Nice to meet you, Emily," Hannah said warmly. "Love your dress." Thanks," I stammered. Emma kept the conversation short, painfully short, and ushered her out within minutes. As soon as the door shut, I exhaled shakily. "Oh my God, she bought it." Emma burst out laughing, partly in relief, partly in disbelief. "You were perfect." But I didn't laugh. I was shaking. "This isn't funny anymore." She sobered instantly. "You're right." I turned toward the mirror again, and something in my reflection scared me. Because beneath the panic was excitement. That night, after changing out of the dress, I sat in silence. Emma joined me on the couch. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she said quietly. I rubbed my temples. "Then why did you push it?" She hesitated. "Because I thought you hate it. But you didn't." I looked up sharply. "That's not the point." "Isn't it?" she said softly. "You liked how it felt. You liked her." I saw it. I wanted to argue, but the truth was too heavy. Finally, I whispered, "Maybe I just liked being someone else for a while." Emma leaned closer. "Then maybe that someone else isn't fake." I stared at her. "What are you saying?" She smiled sadly. "I'm saying maybe Emily isn't a disguise." Her words hit me like a thunderclap. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then Emma reached out, brushing my hand gently. "You don't have to decide anything tonight," she said softly. "But don't lie to yourself about what you felt." Hours later, I found myself standing in front of the mirror again. Barefaced. No wig. No dress. Just me. But when I looked closely, I could still see traces of her. A softness around the eyes. A quiet vulnerability that hadn't been there before. I whispered, "Emily?" And for the briefest moment, it felt like she whispered back. That night, I barely slept. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be myself anymore. Morning sunlight spilled across the living room, glinting off the mirror like a spotlight on a stage that hadn't yet been cleared. The black dress still hung over the back of the chair, silent, innocent, and yet full of everything that had changed between us. I sat at the table, hands clasped, staring at the coffee I hadn't touched. Emma moved quietly in the kitchen. We hadn't said much since last night. Finally, she spoke. "I didn't mean to confuse you." I didn't look up. "You didn't confuse me. I confused myself." She sighed, leaning against the counter. "Then talk to me. What's going on inside your head?" I hesitated, searching for words that didn't sound like betrayal. When I looked in that mirror, I didn't just see a costume. I saw someone peaceful. Someone who wasn't afraid. Emma crossed her arms, her voice soft. And now, I whispered, I'm terrified of what that means. Silence. Then she walked over, sat across from me, and took my hand. Whatever happens next, I want you to be honest. With yourself and with me. No hiding. No pretending. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were wet. Promise me that. I nodded, unable to speak. After Emma left for work, the house felt too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I told myself not to look, not to go near the mirror, not to open the drawer where she'd left the wig. But the more I tried to ignore it, the stronger the pull became. Before I knew it, I was standing there again, staring into that reflective world that both terrified and comforted me. My fingers brushed the edge of the wig, the strands soft against my skin. The black dress was still draped over the chair, whispering for me to finish what I'd started. I picked it up. The fabric slid through my hands like water. My pulse quickened. One deep breath. Then another. And then, as if someone else was guiding me, I began to change. The moment the zipper slid up my back, it felt like the air in the room shifted. The mirror's reflection sharpened, pulling me into focus. Emily stared back, but this time, there was no hesitation in her eyes. She looked alive. I reached up and touched my reflection, fingertips brushing the cold glass. I'm still here, I whispered. For a heartbeat, I thought I saw her lips move in sync with mine, and then just slightly ahead. Like she wasn't my reflection anymore. The front door opened. My heart dropped. Hey, Emma's voice called out cheerfully. I came home early. I froze. Her footsteps grew louder, moving down the hallway. Thought we could have lunched together, she continued, laughing softly. Maybe talk more about. She stepped into the living room.
And stopped.
The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Her eyes locked on me, on Emily. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked heartbroken.
Shocked.
Maybe both. Emma, I whispered, my voice trembling. I can explain. She didn't move. Her gaze flicked from me to the mirror, and then back again, like she was seeing two different people. Finally, she said softly, you already did. Then she turned and walked away. The sound of the front door closing was like a final note echoing in an empty theater. I stood there, numb. Then slowly, I turned back to the mirror. Emily stared back, calm, composed, and smiling. But this time, I hadn't smiled. My chest tightened. No, that's not real. Her smile widened, eyes glinting with something that wasn't mine. And then she reached up, on her side of the mirror, and placed her hand flat against the glass. My body froze. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It felt like the room was tilting, pulling me closer to the reflection. I stumbled backward, tripping over the chair. The mirror shimmered, just slightly, like water disturbed by a ripple. I blinked, and for a split second, Emily's lips moved again. You made me real. The whisper wasn't in my ears. It was inside my head. When I finally tore myself away and ripped off the wig, the house felt wrong, like I wasn't alone anymore. Every time I passed the mirror, I caught flashes of her. A movement when I wasn't moving. A blink that didn't match mine. A faint smirk that lingered too long. By the time Emma returned that evening, I'd covered the mirror with a blanket. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. We sat together in silence. But I could feel it, that presence. Watching. Waiting. As night fell, a breeze lifted the blanket. Just slightly. Enough for one corner of the mirror to show. And in that reflection, Emma and I were sitting together, but Emily was standing right behind us.